The Ash Lutzi and Nikki Osborne podcast.
Now, this is very special. Cristina Koch is an astronaut. She's an astronaut. And to that end, like, we're going to have a chat to her right now, but have you ever had a question for an astronaut? If you've ever had a question,
how could you not have
that
a
you've
question
wanted to pose to an astronaut
and
and get it answered, 13 24 10 now. We can rack up the calls because this is rare air. Pardon the pun.
And I'll tell you what, if you get on and you're really good, we'll give you a double pass to an afternoon of science at the World Science Festival, Queensland, where Cristina will be appearing. Now, that's kicked off. Kylie, now's your time to know. I'm asking you.
Oh,
Yeah. What are you
Kylie's just taking
She hit
pictures.
the deck when I did that. I was looking around. You don't know?
21st. It started
21st. So it's underway right now, and it's fantastic. And Cristina, you're the shining light of the festival. Welcome to Brisbane.
Yeah. Well,
thank
the Olympic
you.
City.
It's great to be here.
So let's start at the beginning. How did you become an astronaut? What are the qualifications that you need? Is it something that you grew up aspiring to be? Like, talk us through the process.
Sure. I actually have wanted to be an astronaut since I was very young. I don't really remember a time when I didn't. I think I just never grew out of that childhood desire to be an astronaut, and somehow I made it. I'm still waiting for them to let me know, like, the paperwork error about how I became one and was selected. But yeah, my background's in physics and electrical engineering, and I worked in really remote science bases all over the Earth and did some NASA engineering along the way, and I applied to be an astronaut about 10 years ago. And to my just amazement, I was selected, and I've been loving it ever since.
So you've got to be super, super bright, but you've also got to be super fit as well, don't you? Incredibly resilient and fit. You look fit.
Well, that is kind of part of the job, and mainly because spacewalks are hard. They're very physically and mentally demanding, and we all have to be qualified to do spacewalks to work on board the International Space Station. And so, yeah, we have a pretty regimented fitness qualification.
You did the first ever all-female spacewalk. Is that correct as well?
That's correct. I did.
Yes,
The team did. It wasn't just me.
No. But when you, I meant that you along with the rest of the team. But from when you decided you wanted to be an astronaut and then you were accepted, how long was the process until they went, okay, you're ready to go? You're ready to hop on a ship and head up into space?
You're right. It is a process. There's actually a 2-year period where we call astronaut candidacy, where you're learning. I called it learn 5 new careers in 2 years period. AKA go to work and be really bad at things for 2 years and try and figure them out. So had to learn how to be a pilot, learn the Russian language, learn how to operate the space station robotic arm, learn the engineering of the space station, learn how to spacewalk, all kinds of things. And yeah, after you graduate from that, you are deemed ready to accept a flight assignment, and then you go about waiting to do that and to fulfill your mission.
What was the hardest part of training that you found?
Do you have to vomit a lot? Do you vomit?
No, luckily that is not a requirement, but some people do. I think getting used to the physiological aspects of being very uncomfortable in some kind of fast environment, the G's, the being upside down, that is part of it. I think learning to operate through some of that happening, but there was very little that was easy for me. I come from a civilian background. I hadn't done the high-speed jets. I hadn't done a lot of the operational side of the job, so I had to really ramp up quickly. It was all very hard. Don't learn language naturally, so I worked very hard at it.
Yeah, so you had to learn Russian. Is it all friendly up in space, so everyone helps everyone up in space?
Yep. Person to person, it's a wonderful thing.
Because the movies always say otherwise.
Yeah, you always
I saw one last year. What was it?
Russian.
It didn't go well.
I launched on a Russian rocket. Like, when
Really?
I launched, everything was in Russian. There was no English. Yeah,
Really?
I spent a year in Russia training for my mission for about 10 years after NASA retired the shuttle program and before we started with the commercial crew. You've heard of, like, the Dragon SpaceX getting astronauts to the space station. There was a period of time where we cooperated with the Russians, and we still do. We still trade seats on our respective vehicles, but for a while, that was the only ride in town. So we all launched out of Kazakhstan.
We saw the astronauts get rescued and come down to ground last week.
And we should say 328 days is the amount of time that Cristina spent in space.
Yes, which is longer than those two.
9 months.
Even though they only pack for 8 days.
That's right.
Crazy, right?
But the question we all have is, what does it feel like when you hit gravity? Because they were in wheelchairs, and I could just imagine.
It's rough. Lifting your own body is actually difficult when you first get back. You feel, even as you're coming back, the G's sort of come on slowly, and even a tenth of a of the gravity of Earth feels like a lot when you haven't had to work against gravity for that long. I remember I forgot what it would feel like to walk. I was up there about maybe 10 months and I thought, oh, I'm going back to Earth soon. I should think about walking and what that would be
Wow.
like.
That's mental.
Christina, you might want to put your headphones on. We've got a heap of calls here, people that want to ask different types of questions. Let's go to Steve out of Redcliffe. Yes, Steve, you're on the air. What is your question for Christina?
Okay, are you ready?
Yep, go ahead.
I want to know how they snap one off.
How do you go to the toilet? How do you go to the toilet, Christina?
Again, welcome to Brisbane.
Sorry about that.
When you're in space.
Well, I have to thank the studio team in here for translating that for me because I did not know what you meant.
No,
but
she's like, what's
yeah, we have a space toilet, and it kind of in the absence of gravity, it sort of creates a little bit of an airflow, so things go where they should
So it's
go
a
and
bit-
don't go where they shouldn't.
bit of a suction thing?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you get used to it.
Yeah,
You get
okay.
used to it.
Steve, that's enough out of you, Sarah. Christina, how nervous is it when you're sitting there just prior to launch and the 10-9? Do they still do the 10-9-8-7? Is that the
real.
Is that the scariest
still
part of it, or like how did you feel in that moment? I would imagine. I mean, your
You'd
life's
be
on the
Instagram
life's
ready.
on the line.
You don't
right
have
there.
cold feet, do you, at that
No.
point?
No.
What was that like?
Well, people told me that astronauts are the calmest people on launch day, and I didn't believe them, but sure enough, it is so true. Everyone around you is freaking out, and you are completely calm and ready to just fulfill your duty, to do what you trained for, to get there. And that's exactly how you feel. You're just ready to put it all to work.
Go ahead, Dave.
No, I'm just saying we'll play a song at some point and come back because we've got
Do
more.
we have to take a break? Bloody commercials.
I know, I hate
We've
commercials.
got more.
Playing
And
songs.
I have a question I want to ask on a much more intelligent level than these gibbers. Obviously, do you want to keep going? I don't know. I
Yeah,
feel
we
like
can come
we've
back
done
after these.
The Ash Lutzi and Nikki Osborne podcast.
Very special guest, Cristina Koch.
Yeah, to my knowledge, Christina's the only person in the room that's made Time's 100 most influential people. What on earth? Oh, excuse the pun. What on earth? Time's 100 most influential people of 2020. How cool is that?
The huge
That's
honor,
that's
for
in
sure.
the world.
Well, I mean, like I said, huge team at NASA enables all that. I just do my
know.
job day to day.
So my everyone's up. We've got that whole. Everyone's got the one question for an astronaut. For me, it's like having spent 328 days up there. How did it change your perception on Earth, on the politics of wars and the
Absolutely.
way that we all communicate as a planet? To take that completely outside perspective and look back in on that for almost a year must have changed. Must have been a huge.
I can imagine you wouldn't get into like
Huge-
Facebook
a huge
arguments
change.
anymore.
That's right. When you're looking at something that grandiose and you see, no kidding, there really aren't lines on the planet. There aren't borders. We're all from, the same things keep us all alive. We care about the same things. We love the same things. We're more alike than we are different. There's no room for petty things like you're saying, jealousy, having arguments over resources or all these things. You just realize that none of that really matters. And there's amazing perspective that you have thinking about our planet and that everything we have here is something to appreciate and not to take for granted. And it's also not an absolute. There's so much more out there in the universe when you look at the Earth against the backdrop of space. It's very different.
Do you have like existential conversations? Like, what does it all mean? Has it pushed you towards religion at all, or is it just proving science?
Or away from it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a very practical-minded person as an engineer. So for me, I have the takeaways like I just described, but that's kind of, it has to be a tangible takeaway for me. Like, okay, what does this mean about how I interact with people and understand like people's differences and what makes us the same and what makes us different? So not so much, but there's a lot of awe involved when you see the Earth from up there. And I mean, we're going on this Artemis mission soon where we're going to be looking back at the Earth and seeing the entire planet as one out the window. Wow. And what's that going to feel like?
I feel like we should explain what that mission is. So you're going up and you're circling the moon, and that's
right.
a lot further than what you've been orbiting to date.
Yep, that's right. So NASA has had a presence in what we call low Earth orbit with the International Space Station orbiting around the Earth, several times a day. And then going to the moon is about 1,000 times farther than that. And we're going back to the moon as part of a campaign to stay, to learn, to discover things, technology, science. What can it tell us about where we're from, the formation of our solar system, and even our universe? And then taking that on and hopefully going to Mars very soon and learning everything we can there, including, are we alone? So those are the real existential questions.
That's the next frontier. Because the space station, you were saying, is 400 kilometres above us right now. When you get to the space station, you dock at the space station. Is there effectively like passport control, or is the door just open and you come and how many people live on or are on the space? Like, how many people would be on that space station right now?
Right now, during my time, it was about 6. It's usually about 7 right now. And the weirdest thing about going to space when you get on this rocket is you don't need a ticket. Like, you just go. It's the most amazing journey that you take, and you just show up in your spacesuit and they let you on. It's bizarre.
Wow.
You dock and then you open the hatch and there's all your friends. And then you're in charge.
Let's take Kaylee. Kaylee, yes, Kaylee, you're on the air with an astronaut, Cristina Koch. What's your question for an astronaut?
Hello. How do you brush your teeth?
Good question.
That is a good
how do you
question.
take care of your oral hygiene?
That's right. Very important. Yes, you have to brush your teeth in space. We don't have any running water because gravity can, put the water down the sink, it would just go everywhere. So yeah, we just brush our teeth. You can float your toothbrush right in front of you. Go grab your toothpaste, throw it on. Everything's just floating all around you, and brush up. And then, usually we don't really have the whole get rid of the toothpaste thing, spit it into an old towel, maybe swallow it, but it works.
Okay.
Kind of like camping.
Yeah.
Tim out of Ferny Hills. Yes, Tim, your question? Tim, go ahead. No, he's not there. I think he fell asleep. He wanted to know, how do you sleep? Do you get strapped in of a night time, or what happens there?
We hang a little sleeping bag kind of a thing on the wall, and it's got holes for your arms. So you get in, you zip yourself up so you don't just float around, and you kind of just, your arms pop out. You sort of are in sort of like a zombie position like this, and you just, the weirdest thing actually about sleeping in space, you don't crawl into a bed or plop down. You just close your eyes. Then it's time to sleep.
And no noise.
Crazy.
No, it's the most peaceful sleep ever. I love it. It was a great sleep.
Because I was going to ask off the back of the gravity thing. When you land, you have to learn to walk again. I was wondering,
that's brutal.
When you sleep, you are actually like weighted down by your own. You're kept down. Whereas in space, there is no gravity. So it's still a better sleep up there?
For me, it was wonderful. No hot spots, no achy joints, nothing. You're just completely suspended, and it's so peaceful.
Well, that'll be the new Florida soon.
Honestly, I think it should be
there.
spas in space is the next thing. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
it's the best.
A spa in space, yeah.
No pressure on joints.
No.
Yeah, that's
That's an anti-joint thing.
The best.
But you were saying, I've got to get this one out because it blew our minds. Every hour and a half for you, it's daytime, nighttime, daytime, nighttime.
That's right.
And what's the prettiest time?
Sunrise or sunset, when it's coming up and the sun is through the atmosphere of the Earth. It's super red, and you see all the colors right in a row, right on the horizon, making a beautiful arc. And you can see the line of the atmosphere. And going back to, what does it all mean? That thin line against the backdrop of the universe, and knowing that we're all just so precariously kept alive under that same thin black line.
And you were saying it was actually possible that you could phone or FaceTime people in theory. Like
yes,
using
in theory.
VoIP, whatever it is.
Yeah,
like
video
that,
calls.
You could do it. I mean, do you understand if I had a friend that was
I can't.
on the space station out on the drink on a Saturday night in Brisbane, how many times I would use you? Like, you'd be going, he's calling again, he's at a bar.
He'd be drunk again.
He's just showing someone, one of his mates.
Well,
Did you get any of that?
I did, and luckily people don't believe those folks. They're like, yeah, right. Sure. That's your friend in space. We get it.
I can't get reception driving to Harvey Bay.
Yeah. Crazy.
They're FaceTiming up on the space station. What about food? Like, do you have a microwave oven up there?
Not exactly a microwave.
How do you heat? And what is the food? Is it all that vacuum sealed stuff?
It is. A lot of dehydrated food. Hey, I loved it. You don't have to cook your food. It's much easier. There's no cooking, no time. Just again, like utilitarian here.
Roll-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's a year of roll-ups.
Hot water in the mac and cheese, and
really, when you turn up, do you come with a heap of fresh supplies?
Yes, they've already got that up there. Usually months in advance of crew arriving, they make sure that all the supplies are in place, including your clothes, everything you need. Because we just wear clothes for a little while and then throw them away. There's no laundry in space, so everything's on a schedule. It's like, time to change my shirt. It's been 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're on the same schedule as Lutzy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's fine for me.
Well,
But your
listen,
clothes float around you. They don't actually get dirty. They're just kind of floating
Oh,
near you.
wow.
There's
What a
not
sweat.
yeah.
No sweat?
Not
Sweat?
really.
Not really?
No.
Well, we could talk to you for the
It's
rest
crazy.
of the day.
I know.
I mean, literally, you're one of the most fascinating guests we've had in here, perhaps the most fascinating, and answering questions. It's been fantastic.
And where you can learn more about it again is the World Science Festival Queensland. Christina, you'll be there. You're just chatting. What are you doing there? Just having chat with people.
Yeah,
And...
doing a couple events and sharing all the.
Well, when they
all
ask you
science.
how you snap one off, you know what they're talking
Now I know.
about.
Yeah.
Here in
Thank you.
Australia
That's
now.
a good
You've had an
takeaway.
education.
Excited to our listeners.
we do have one more double pass to go to the World Science Festival Queensland. Give us a call now, 13 24 10 if you wanted that. Christina, thank you so much.
That was
Yes.
awesome.
Thank you for having me.
And good luck with the next expedition.
Thank you.
The Ash, Lutzi and Nikki Osborne podcast.